all of us. Oh, sorry about that. Most of these things we already have on hand. If not, they're really easy to find. And again, they're very delicious. So, all right, let's get started. The first things we're going to do today, we're going to get the brownie and the puff pastry into the oven first, just because, again, it is a hot day. We want the ovens off. Also, the brownie takes a little longer to bake. So let's start with that. So the first step, we are going to take 1 cup of your softened butter, and you're going to put that in a saucepan. If I'm going too fast, please stop me. Or if there's any questions, please let me know. I'm just gonna move you guys right here. So in my saucepan, I have I'm gonna show you, I'm sorry. I have 1 cup of butter. It's been softened, so it's gonna melt pretty quickly. And we want that on a low heat because we don't want our butter to burn. We just want it nice and melted. So with that, let's go ahead and get a spatula in there. And we can start, you could start mixing that slowly. Look, you see it's already melting. And if you want, right when it's melted, if you want to leave it just for like maybe another 30 seconds longer so it can brown a little bit, brown butter gives your cookie or your brownie a richer taste. It's more like a caramelized taste. I'm not going to brown mine, but if you'd like, go right ahead. You're going to start smelling it once it's going to pretty much tell you to stop when you start smelling that caramelization of the butter. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to have this butter melt, and we're going to add the sugar, which is about, I believe, 2 cups. Excuse me. It's about 2 1/4 cups of granulated sugar. So we're going to do that. We're going to wait till the butter melts, take it off the heat, add the sugar, and then we're going to put it back on the heat just so the sugar dissolves. Are we having anyone cook along?
I am.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Okay. So you have your butter on the stove, on the stovetop?
I got it.
Okay, perfect. Very nice. All right, and mine is almost done. If you want, this is the perfect time to also start getting your caramels ready. If you haven't unwrapped them yet while you're waiting for your butter to melt, start unwrapping whatever caramel you're using, unless you're using like a jarred caramel sauce, which is totally fine as well. I had caramel candy, so that's why I used caramel for my German chocolate-based topping. But you could totally use salted caramel sauce or anything bottled. You can also make it from scratch too. That's fine. But we're trying to go easy right now.
Good question.
Can you use not sugar for this?
I'm sorry?
Can you use like sweeteners instead of sugar?
You could use sweeteners, but I would Google if the equivalent of if it equaled the same regarding the measurements. So I never really, the only sweetener that I work with is like a coconut sugar. I don't know if that's the same, but if you're using stevia, maybe you can Google how much of what would equal to 2 1/4 cups. But you don't want it to be either, and you don't want it to lack in sweetness.
Hi, Phyllis.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so my butter is melted, so I'm gonna take it off the heat. Let's turn it off. And now I'm gonna add my sugar. And then I'm just gonna stir that. And once that's incorporated, I'm just going to put the heat back on, just so that all those sugar crystals could dissolve. Again, on a very low flame. My flame is super high, but that's why I'm like hovering over the pot. Any questions so far? Okay. I apologize if I sound raspy or stuffy. I had gone to the amusement parks with my kids and I was screaming my head off. So your girl don't have a voice right now. So if you need me to repeat anything again, please let me know. Well, we're almost there. Keep stirring because you don't want that sugar to burn. You don't want that butter to burn. Make sure you're getting the bottom of the pot. How's my cook along doing?
Very good.
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 All right, we're almost there. And you can, right now, you can smell the butter. It smells so good. Just gonna keep going. Has anyone had German chocolate cake before?
My aunt used to make them from scratch.
Ah, very nice. It's one of my favorite cakes. It's so good.
The
This one,
frosting, the
this
best.
one, it does justice. Okay. All right, now I'm just gonna take mine off the flame. It still looks a little grainy, so I'm gonna go like another minute. It's not gonna completely dissolve, but it's gonna like get thick. It's gonna become almost like a curdy consistency. Okay. Switch you guys back to right here. Okay, can everyone see me?
Yes.
All right. So in this bowl here, I measured out my cocoa powder. So it's 1¼ cup of cocoa powder. There's baking powder in there and salt. You want to put your butter and sugar mixture here. Go ahead and give that a whisk.
You have a dog in the background. Do you mind muting, please?
Sorry?
I was just asking patron to mute if they have a dog in the background.
Now, the reason why we want to put the hot butter and sugar in with the cocoa powder, and we don't consider the cocoa powder one of the dry ingredients, like for the flour, we want a more in-depth chocolate flavor. And the way you get that with cocoa powder, you get it nice and hot. So that's why we added the sugar with the butter. And now we're gonna have a nice chocolatey flavor. Whereas if we added it to the flour, it would look almost like a milk chocolate brownie instead of a dark chocolate brownie. And you wouldn't get that robust chocolate taste. And you want to just whisk until it cools down a little bit because you are going to add your eggs here. So just keep whisking a little, maybe like 2 minutes. And I'm going to add my vanilla extract to this as well. So a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Any questions so far? Still a little hot. Okay. So now I'm gonna add my eggs. So I'm gonna go one at a time. I'm gonna add an egg, stir, add an egg, stir, add an egg, stir. Just so we know that the egg has been incorporated nicely. Yeah. How are my cook-alongs going?
Spilled the cocoa powder all over the kitchen, so just vacuuming as well.
Okay, I got it. Okay, last egg. Now you're starting to see that fudgy consistency. It's getting really thick. After I whisk this egg in, I'm gonna switch to my wooden spoon because my spatulas, they break every time I make brownies. So I'm gonna go in with the spoon. All right, so now I'm going to add my flour. It is 1.5 cups of flour. At this point, I would want to I normally add my chocolate chips in there just because if I add the chocolate chips to the wet batter, they sink to the bottom. And then, I mean, it's still delicious, but I want my chocolate chips to be seen on top. So I'm gonna add as many chocolate chips as I want. You can add about a cup. We like it really fudgy and chocolatey, so I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna toss them. Any questions so far? Give me 1 second, I'm so sorry. Okay. So now they're tossed in, go on my spoon, and I'm just gonna fold it in to my wet. Just gonna fold it in like so. Bringing the bottom to the top. We don't want to overmix this. We just want it combined. And yeah, you're gonna start it feeling, it's gonna get really thick. So please make sure you go in there with a wooden spoon or at least a very strong spatula. Okay. I'm there. So you can get your pan ready. Let's spray our pans. And then if you have it, a little piece of parchment paper with just a little bit of lac on the sides, just so you can pick it up once the brownies are cool. I'm using an 8x8 pan, but go ahead and use a 9x13 if you want more. This recipe is just fine for a 9x13 pan. You're gonna get a nice size brownie. Any questions?
Are these cake-like brownies?
They have a nice crisp top on a nice crispy top. They're somewhat cake-like, but in the middle they're fudgy.
Okay.
They're a nice balance. Any other questions? And if you don't want to make the brownie base from scratch and you're pressed for time, this has totally worked with like box brownie mix. There's been times where I've had guests come over last minute and I have a box of Ghirardelli brownie mix, and I've done this with that and they loved it. It's turned out just as delicious. So you could go ahead and do that if you're just pressed for time. But if you do use a box brownie mix, instead of water, use milk, and instead of oil, use butter. So you get kind of more like a bakery style, like a bakery taste instead of that commercial box taste. And then my mom told me to put like a tablespoon of sour cream. So I added it to my pan, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and flatten that in. Smooth out those edges. You want a nice even base. Any questions?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what size pan you use.
I'm using an 8x8, but this recipe is totally fine with a 9x13 pan.
Okay.
All right, so mine is as even as it's gonna get. So I'm just gonna add mine to my oven. I'll be right back. And now, real quick, we're just gonna switch over to the berry tart. We're just gonna put the shell in the oven. So I'm just gonna show you how to do that, and then we're gonna switch back to the German chocolate cake brownie. So normally for berry tart, it would come like in a shell, not puff pastry, a tart shell. Again, this is for a quick dessert, and I actually like it better with the puff pastry. It's a nice bite, and it's airy, and it's crisp, and I love puff pastry, so I'm using that. So I'm just going, ooh, flour. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna flour. So go ahead and dust your surface off with a little bit of flour because we're gonna roll just a little bit. Are any of my cook-alongs doing the pastry shell as well?
I am.
You are? Hi. Okay, great. So I'm just going to go ahead and just cover my surface here with a little bit of flour. We don't want it to stick. My rolling pin somewhere. But if not, you could use a wine bottle if you don't have a rolling pin. I have a rolling pin, but I think one of my kids ran off with it. So I'll get it right back. So yeah, they look like this. And we're just gonna roll it just to stretch it out a little bit and to just, you know, get those seams out. Good. All right, well, I'm using a wine bottle because one of my kids ran off with my rolling pin, so can't find it, not gonna spend time looking for it. So I'm using a wine bottle. Make sure to flour the surface of whatever it is that you're using to roll your pastry, puff pastry with, or else it will stick to it, it'll rip, and we don't want that to happen. So just gently, just gonna go over it. Any questions so far?
Is there any way that you could keep the sheet square? Every time I roll it out, it starts rolling out into a different shape.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to frame this sheet so it could stay a square and not like a weird type of bug, you know? So let's just roll this out first, and then we're gonna frame it, and then hopefully yours, it stays into a rectangle. Mine normally does. The technique is called docking, I believe. It's kind of like scoring. So I'll show you that right now. Let me just get these seams out the way. But I know exactly what you mean because I hated it too. I actually need more flour. just the top of your pastry shell as well if you want. Add too much. To make sure it's nice and even. You want it to fit your pan. And again, I lined my pan up with some parchment. So I greased the bottom of my pan and I added the parchment paper. You don't have to grease the parchment after because puff pastry is filled with butter and it's not gonna stick. So.
Hello, what size pan are we using?
Well, for this, I'm using a 9x13.
Oh, 9x13, okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just gonna in my pan.
Can you use a cookie sheet also?
I'm sorry?
Can you use a cookie sheet also?
Oh, by all means, yes, use a cookie sheet. So no, actually, you know what? Let me take this out of the pan because I want to show you how to frame it. Sorry. Does everyone that's cooking along have a paring knife available or something with like a little sharp blade? All right. So I'm taking my paring knife. And again, this technique is called docking. I call it scoring. But what we're gonna do is we're basically going to trace the frame, the rectangle. But we're not gonna go all the way. You don't wanna pierce your puff pastry completely. You just wanna ever so gently just like score it a little bit. So basically it's just, I'm not going all the way down. I don't feel my my surface underneath. Just like that. Because
About an inch away from the edge.
yeah, about an inch away from the edge. That's what we want to do it. So again, we just scored it ever so lightly, and then well, what that's going to do is the sides, they're going to puff up over where we scored it. So it's going to act not only as a crust, but like a barrier for your puff pastry, your pastry cream and your fruit. And it's also going to help your puff pastry stay in the shape that you want it to stay instead of that weird oblong thing that it does. Any questions so far? So now what we're gonna do is for the inside of what you just framed, you're gonna take a little fork and you're gonna go ahead and score that inside. And you don't have to do it like super lightly. It's fine if you just pierce it because we're gonna flatten this out anyway. Can everyone see my puff pastry?
Yes.
All right, so I just scored the inside of that, and now I'm going to transfer that to my 9x13, and we're going to put it in the oven. If you're doing this without the brownies, put it at 420. If you're doing it with the brownies, go ahead and bump your oven up to 375 because it's going to take a little while.
I'm sorry, what should our oven be at if they're going in with the brownies?
375.
375, okay.
Yeah. You can even go up to 400, but I wouldn't do anything more than that because then your brownies are going to burn. And that's going to go in about 20 minutes. The brownies are going to take 30. So we put the brownies in at 7:15, so at 7:45. And I'm just going to go ahead and clean my surface real fast because we're going to start the German chocolate brownie topping. Any questions?
Is the brownie topping like the German chocolate frosting?
Yes. Yes. So for the frosting or for the topping, what I did was, again, I had caramels on hand, those little candied caramels that I just unwrapped, and I added them to a saucepan on low heat with about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of butter. And I let that go super low heat. Again, you don't want it to burn. I let it go for about 5 minutes. I kept stirring with a silicone spatula, making sure everything was okay. There was no bumps. Once it's completely done, take it off the heat, let it cool for like maybe a minute. And then what I did was I added my nuts and my coconut. I didn't have pecans on, I couldn't find them anywhere. I added almonds and walnuts, which are delicious still. And then I used unsweetened coconut because everything in here is already so sweet. We don't need the extra sugar, but by all means, go ahead and use whatever it is that you like. Any questions? Are my cook-alongs doing the caramel sauce?
So I have caramel sauce in a jar. Should I still melt it or just drizzle it over?
You can go ahead and pop that in a bowl, pop it in the microwave for about 30 seconds, just so it can get a little more liquidy, I guess, if that's the correct term. And then that's when you want to add everything. You don't have to add the butter though.
Okay. I put the brownies in the oven. So does that go on after they come out of the oven or?
That goes on after, yes, because this is just going to be a topping. The brownie is just a regular brownie base. The top is what's going to make it that German chocolate cake.
Thanks.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay, so now brownies are in the oven. My topping is done already. I'm going to switch to the berry tart. So we have our puff pastry in the oven. So now let's do our cream. This is the easiest pastry cream you could make. I love pastry cream from scratch. It's delicious, but I don't have the time to wait for something to cool for 4 hours. So pudding, whipped cream, and cream cheese are a way to go. If you're not into like a cheesecake flavor, omit the cream cheese altogether. It's going to be totally fine. And use instant vanilla pudding. Again, normally when I make these recipes, I am pressed for time. So I want things to set and cool quickly. So again, vanilla pudding, Cool Whip if you want. If you're not a fan of Cool Whip, I know a lot of people aren't, you go ahead and whip up your regular heavy cream with a little bit of sugar, a little bit of icing sugar, whip that up, and then you can fold that into the pudding once it's time. So let's start. So you just follow directions on the box. It's one box of vanilla pudding, and I believe it's 2 cups of cold milk, right? Well, mine is the bigger box, so it's 3 cups. Any questions?
So are you making this with the Cool Whip and the cream cheese?
I'm sorry, dear, I couldn't hear you. What?
Are you making this with the Cool Whip and the cream cheese?
Yeah, normally my family likes the cream cheese, like the cheesecake flavor. So I make the vanilla pudding and I fold it into the cream cheese and the Cool Whip that I'm gonna mix together.
So you're using pudding also?
Yes.
And
I want that vanilla taste.
okay, and if you're not using pudding as in the recipe, so you would just add the cream cheese to the Cool Whip?
Yes.
Okay.
What you would do is for the cream cheese, if you're just making that without the pudding, you would do the cream cheese, whip it, right? Make sure it's soft, whip it with a little bit of icing sugar, and then you're gonna fold it gently into the Cool Whip, and it's gonna give you that like cheesecakey, but a very light cheesecakey type of base. It's gonna be delicious. You know, since I thought, I'm sorry, I had thought that they added the pudding to the recipe, and I guess that didn't show up, so I'm not gonna do the pudding. I'll do it as the recipe states.
But we're not going to bake this again, are we?
No, no,
No.
no. After the puff pastry, you're done baking. You turn off the oven. I'm just gonna go ahead and check real quick on my brownie. So for this, again, open up your cream cheese, and you can use a regular whisk. If you have a, excuse me, again, my voice. If you have a like a handheld mixer, go ahead and use that too. It's totally fine. That'll probably be better anyway. But again, if you don't, a whisk will do. Sure. So pick up, and it's just about 1 package of cream cheese. You don't need too much. So I'm adding my cream cheese to the bowl. I'm not gonna put any icing sugar in mine just because I don't like it too sweet. You could go ahead and do it for yours if you like. And my whisk. Any questions so far? Are my cook-alongs doing all right? All right. So again, I'm just whisking up the cream cheese. It's already been softened, so it's gonna go fairly fast. And to this, I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla extract as well, about a teaspoon. Just gonna eyeball it.
Empress, there's a question in the chat about icing. I'm not sure if you
Go ahead.
says when you talk about icing sugar, do you mean confectioner sugar?
Yes. And it's powdered sugar. Yeah. But again, you don't have to add it. It's not like necessary. Again, I don't add it because I don't like it too sweet. But again, it's up to you. This is it's a foolproof dessert, and it really is based on your liking. And it's beautiful too. You go into like any supermarket or any bakery and you see like those nice fruit tarts with a nice that glaze on top. It is very pretty. So we're gonna try to achieve the same thing here. So again, I'm just whisking my cream cheese. And now I'm gonna switch to a spatula. Any questions so far? Hey, cook-alongs, how are your brownies doing?
Mine looks pretty good. Can you remind me how long the puff pastry is baking for?
That's about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes, depending on your oven. My oven looks so, it takes a little.
Thank you.
No problem.
How should the cream cheese look? Should it look just a little smooth, or should it look really frothy or whipped?
It should look pretty, I mean, this is fine. Look smooth is just fine. Does it look right now?
Pardon?
Does yours look whipped?
I just put it, I used an electric beater for about like a half a minute.
Oh yeah, you're fine. That's totally fine. Go ahead and start folding in your whipped cream or Cool Whip. Mine is just soft. I made it a little softer by adding in the vanilla extract, and I'm just
Right.
with the heat of the kitchen. So that's fine too. But yeah, lighter the better. So now I'm just gonna open up my Cool Whip. I got the extra creamy kind. I'm gonna go ahead and add it to my cream cheese. So this is gonna give you, again, a very nice cheesecake base flavor. If you're looking for more of a pastry cream, but you don't have the time, do the vanilla pudding and omit the cream cheese and add the vanilla, like once it's set, you fold it in with Cool Whip or with heavy cream. So I'm just folding mine in. Any questions? Just want to keep folding, and I added I do like a half a tub of whipped cream first, and then I fold it, and then the other half goes in once everything's incorporated. I'm gonna go ahead and check on my puff pastry and my brownies. You're both looking good. Any questions? All right. So I'm gonna add the other half of the Cool Whip. And this is a really nice summertime treat. My family goes bananas for this treat. And also, like, you get to do whatever you want with it. If you don't, I'm allergic to kiwis, and a lot of the fruit tarts that they sell have kiwi on it. So, I mean, I pretty much use whatever fruit I have on hand that I want to get rid of, and or whatever fruit I like. So that's always nice. And then if you want, you could go ahead and give your cream a taste. Make sure it's to your liking. If it needs more sugar, if it needs more something, more vanilla. That's really good. Mine doesn't need anything. How's yours coming out? Good?
Tastes delicious.
Yeah, awesome. All right, mine is good. So now go ahead and you can refrigerate, cover it with, plastic wrap, and you can cover it and refrigerate it for, I mean, you can even do it overnight. It's just, the flavors just get more intense, but you can do that. Again, we don't have that time. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna refrigerate it for up to about 15, 20 minutes, and then we're gonna add it to the puff pastry once it cools a little bit. Well, a lot of it. Some saran wrap. Any questions?
Yes, can you use the whipped cream cheese instead of using the regular cream cheese?
I don't like whipped cream cheese. For some reason, when I bake with it and when I've done this with that, it gives me like a very grainy consistency that I'm not a fan of. So I just say go with regular cream cheese. And also, I mean, you're gonna spend the extra bucks for no reason because it doesn't do anything to it. It doesn't do anything to it, you know? Anybody else? So okay, I'm just covering mine up. Put in the refrigerator and top of pastry tray. And now is a good time to start preparing your fruit. I'm using blackberries and blueberries that I've washed already. I also washed my strawberries that I'm gonna slice here. And then depending on what you like, normally we would have this, we would put like a tablespoon of sugar and just like kind of let that get nice and sweet. My berries are very sweet already. I don't need the extra sugar. So I'm just gonna slice up my strawberries and I'm gonna add it just like that on my fruit tart. Because remember, we don't want it too sweet because we're adding the apricot jam over it to get that nice. So you don't want it, you don't want like a mouthful of sugar either. So just slicing my strawberries. You do it in half, quarters. I do quarters. Any questions?
So you're using, you said blueberries and strawberries?
I'm using blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries. Again, when I see this recipe out, people love having kiwi on them or raspberries. I'm allergic to kiwis. I'm not a fan of raspberries, so I'm not doing that. But you can use whatever berry or fruit that you like. Mango's really good on this. I wouldn't recommend banana if you are trying to serve this later because bananas get brown and your tart's gonna look ugly.
Right.
Be good, but you know you want to eat with your eyes first. So.
And you're cutting up all the berries?
Well, no, the blackberries I kept whole and the blueberries I didn't do anything to. I just washed it. Just the strawberries I'm slicing up.
And how are you cutting them? I can't really see.
Oh, well, I'm simply just taking off the little green, the tops, and you can go half or I do quarters. So I'll just slice down.
Okay. Okay, I thought that you were gonna put the strawberries around the periphery of the tart.
Yeah, you very well can. We will do that. So if you want to do that, if you want to do a strawberry border, cut your strawberries in half.
Okay.
Any questions? Are you able to see what I'm doing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just go like a package each. And then once we slice the fruit, I'm just gonna go ahead and check on my brownie and my puff pastry. This one. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna check on my. So for your brownies, depending on how you like it, you want it to be shiny on the top. And when you go in there with a toothpick or a knife, you don't want batter to come out. You want like some crumbs. If a little bit, like if just like a little chocolate glue goes on there, that's totally fine because remember we did add those chocolate chips. You're gonna see the difference between a chocolate chip on a toothpick, on a knife, and then batter. If it's batter, it's gonna completely coat the top of your knife or your toothpick. If it's crumb with the chocolate, you're most likely fine. You want to take it out because it's going to continue cooking as well. after you take it out the oven. Any questions?
Yeah, so I just looked at my puff pastry and it's totally puffing out, even though I did do the fork prick.
Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna use spatula. We're gonna flatten out the middle.
Okay, so I should just leave it.
Yeah. How's the shape looking though?
The shape is fine.
Okay.
Shape is fine.
Okay.
You know,
I'm sorry?
I was gonna say, I've only had it in for like 12 minutes and it's starting to get a little browned. Should I leave it in a little longer?
Yeah. I said, how is it? Is it brown? Is it brown, you said?
Yes, yes. I have it on 420. Is that too high?
No, you want to leave it in for like another 5 minutes.
Okay.
Any questions so far? All right.
You said apricot. Can you use any other flavor?
I'm sorry?
You said apricot jam. Can you use any other flavor?
Yeah, you can go ahead and use orange marmalade if you want, raspberry or like strawberry, blueberry. It will change the color of your tart. But by all means, use whatever flavors you like. It's gonna be delicious no matter what. So speaking of the apricot jam, we can start melting that up. Again, you can add your apricot jam to the microwave or in a saucepan. I'm just gonna throw mine into the microwave for about 30 seconds until it becomes, and you're gonna see it looks like a syrup almost. So that's what I'm gonna do right now.
That's so good. The shiny glaze.
Strawberry jam on this would be really good. It would remind me of like a strawberry cheesecake that's from Cheesecake Factory, like we're juniors, because it will have that strawberry coating on top. They put on top of the strawberries once the cheesecake is set. So that's delicious. I use the avocado because it's clear, and I like the clear glaze. Can't really see the yellow. Any other questions? How are my cook-alongs doing? You guys okay?
I realized my puff pastry was frozen and I forgot to defrost it, so I'm just watching and I'll make this tomorrow.
That's fine. If you start with frozen puff pastry, it's totally cool. You don't need that to be completely defrosted.
Oh, so I could have just put it in the oven?
Correct. Yep.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Press a little harder when you're rolling it out because I mean it's gonna take a little more elbow grease. But other than that, that's totally fine.
Okay, cool. Maybe I'll get working on it right now then.
All right.
Thanks.
My other cook along was your puff pastry defrosted.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So
I
how's it
think
look?
it's done. Mine's been in for 20 minutes. Should I take it out?
Yes.
Steph, I need to put something down here.
How's it looking? Is it nice and brown?
Let me show her.
Sure.
Beautiful. Okay, so you're gonna set that aside just for about 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna show you what we do with the spatula. Do you have a spatula on hand?
Yep.
Perfect. I'll be right back.
With my favorite spatula.
Again, start low and slow. I put mine on low and I started with 20 seconds. Again, you don't want your apricot preserves to burn. You don't want any of this to burn. You see, you're done. Mine is still like, is still struggling to get mine done. Mine is still completely pale. to 10 seconds on my apricot preserves. Did the cook-alongs making the German chocolate, did you guys make the toppings?
Yes. It looks very hard. It doesn't look spreadable.
No? Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're just gonna heat it up again right before we're gonna put it on the top.
Maybe add a little more butter.
Yeah, a little more butter, but also we're gonna heat it up again, so that's fine. It's gonna go back to, because mine is a little on the hard side too. Did you taste it?
What did you say?
Did you taste it?
Oh yeah, it's very good.
Nice. You know what I also do with the toppings, because I have a customer who she just at first she was ordering the whole brownie, but she was throwing away the brownie because she doesn't like chocolate, but she was eating the topping of it. So what I started doing for her was I let this cool and I scooped it with a melon baller, popped it in the freezer, and then I would, well, for her I put white chocolate, but for me I would do dark chocolate with a little bit of sea salt on top, and you make like these German chocolate bombs, and they're delicious. Very sweet though. So use like unsweetened dark chocolate or bittersweet chocolate. But that's fun too. Do I have any questions? All right. So my apricot preserves are nice and syrupy now. So I'm gonna go ahead and you could use a spoon or a pastry brush if you have one. I have a small silicone one here somewhere. I have this little sad creature. It came with a bottle attached to it, and I lost the bottle. But I like the brush, so that's what I'm using. I'm just gonna check on my puff pastry. Okay. So now would be a good time to start checking on your brownies. I'm sorry, time. Go ahead and test out your brownie. And I'm just gonna show you here, mine is ready. You see a lot of crumbs. See? I wanna take mine out when it's at this point, because it's gonna continue cooking, number one, but then also you're not gonna, if you leave it in longer, you're gonna get more of a cakey taste instead of that fudgy kind of chewy, stuck to your mouth feel that most people love. I don't know if you like the cake brownie. If that's your thing, go right ahead and add a little more time to that.
Mine looks very raw. I think I put mine in 25 minutes ago. You see that?
Yep, you go ahead and add that right back into the oven.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought. All right.
Mine looks like this. So you see,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yours is done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's at 400.
Or you put it on connection board.
Okay.
so before you add the German chocolate topping, you want your brownie just to cool a little bit. Again, if your thing is hard, if your topping is hard and your brownie is hot, just scoop a little bit of your topping on top of it because it will melt. And then in about like a minute or two, you'll be able to spread it. But again, if you want to heat it up, go right ahead. I'm going to heat mine up. Get rid of all this stuff that I don't need. This I need, this I need, this. Any questions so far? Okay. So again, I'm still waiting on my puff pastry. How's everyone else looking? Good? Great. Mine is still trying to survive. And go out, make sure all your fruit is chopped up, make sure all your fruit is washed, make sure everything is ready for the assembly of the tart, because the puff pastry does cool pretty quickly. It cools within like 5-10 minutes. Or you can just pop it in the refrigerator. It'll cool faster. I don't do that because I don't want everything else in my refrigerator to get hot, but some people. Oh, and let me get a big spatula. So I'm gonna use this big guy for my puff pastry, because what we're gonna do is in the middle, my puff pastry completely puffed up, but in the middle, because we did that, the docking, we're just gonna go ahead and press it lightly with the spatula so that the middle's gonna go down, and then that the frame is gonna act as a crust and a barrier. Any questions? All right, well, mine is done. And mine isn't as brown, but it is done. And it looks like this. See? So I don't really need to do the spatula trick too much with this one. I don't want to burn myself on that. I'm gonna let this cool for a little bit. And now I'm just gonna check on my brownie, see if it's good to spread that topping on. Yeah, I'm gonna start scooping my topping on the brownie. So let me get everything here. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna take small spoonfuls of my topping, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put on top of my brownie. If you have any more of those chocolate chips saved, and if you want a little more chocolate gooiness, what you can do is you can melt that out, and once you add the chocolate topping and you spread that around the brownie, you can drizzle a little bit of more melted chocolate on top with some sea salt. I have pink Himalayan salt, that's what I'm gonna use, but a little bit of that sea salt, and it's so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna reheat my topping. So I'm just gonna show you guys here. Any questions? And if it's very hard, go ahead and add a little more butter or some milk or cream, something to kind of loosen it up a little bit. But the heat is gonna do it just fine. It's gonna become spreadable again, because you see, mine is very thick. I also made mine before the class though, so it's been out for a little bit. Any questions? How are my cook-alongs doing?
Doing good.
Good. Did you add your puff pastry into the oven?
I did.
Okay. All right, that should go for about 20 minutes on 420, 425, okay?
Thanks.
No problem. See, mine is starting to go a little bit. You can see it on the bottom here start to melt a little. So just give it a little longer. Keep stirring, keep it moving. Want to hit that bottom. You don't want anything to stick and burn. Again, I'm very sorry for my voice and my sniffling. It's been a hectic week. Okay, still going. Do I have any questions from anyone? I always like find this part so it's a little like nerve wracking because I'm like, I never know what to say while I'm waiting for things to be done. So I'm like, everyone okay? So is everyone okay?
There's one question in the chat.
Okay.
Or could you add a little water to the caramel topping as you're stirring? You are stirring.
I wouldn't, no. I did not add water. I added a little bit of butter. I wouldn't add water. Add a little bit of milk or heavy cream if you have. Heavy cream preferably, but if you have a little bit of milk, go ahead and just put like a little splash of that in. You'll be fine. No problem. Mine is getting there. I am gonna add some heavy cream just to help it out a little bit. This is it's a rich recipe. Yeah, I'm just helping it out. Again, on low heat. It's starting to get where I want it. I'm sorry if you hear my children in the back. Okay, so you want it like almost this consistency right here. Spreadable, not too thin. This is perfect. Just another 10 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the heat and I'm gonna switch you guys over to my little island here. And my brownie base, oh, crooked, I'm sorry. I have my brownie base and I have my German chocolate cake topping. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my topping. This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. So again, just gonna plop it on top. Only thing about this recipe, you have to wait till it completely cools, or else you're gonna have a melty chocolate caramelly mess everywhere. If you don't care about that, and if you really want it, go ahead and scoop it out with a spoon and top it off with some vanilla ice cream. That is the bomb. It's so good. But if you want perfect, nice little squares, you gotta wait a couple of hours. And at this point here, you can go ahead and add your melted chocolate if you want. I'm not gonna add melted chocolate to mine. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of, I have pink Himalayan. If you have flake salt, Malden salt, use that, delicious. But I'm gonna use what I have right now, which is pink Himalayan. And it does the trick, it's so good. And it gives you that balance, that little sweet and saltiness. It kind of cuts all that caramel, all the chocolate, the sweetness on that coconut. So I'm just gonna take a little bit here and I'm just gonna sprinkle it on. You have it like this, you go ahead and let it set a couple of hours. And then when it comes time to cutting, once it's completely cooled, you use that black that we have from the parchment to take it out completely. You're gonna put it on a cutting board and you're going to use a chef's knife, a serrated knife, doesn't matter. What you need to do though, is you need to dip it in hot water. So have like a cup or a bowl of hot water, or even the faucet running. Hot water, every time you make that cut, go back with the hot water and make another cut. It'll give you about 12 bars. But in order for you to have a nice clean edge, you need the hot water on the knife, or else that caramel is gonna go everywhere. Your brownie, the moment that knife has that caramel on it and it hits that brownie, the brownie on the bottom is gonna come on the top, and it's not gonna look the way you want it to look. But again, if you don't care, that's fine. It's gonna taste exactly the same, and it's gonna taste delicious. So this is the German chocolate cake brownie. And I hope you guys like these recipes, really. And now good for the puff pastry. Before I go on to the berry tart, do you have any questions? Okay, moving on. All right. So my puff pastry came out. Again, I didn't grease my parchment paper and just slid right out. Oh, I took out the cream. Okay. I have my cream mixture here. I have my berries and I have my apricot preserves. And now it's time to assemble the berry tart. And you can use a regular spatula or a spoon, doesn't matter. I'm gonna use the big spoon. Just go ahead and give that another little mixy mix. Make sure your puff pastry is at least like, not gonna be cold to the touch, but lukewarm. That's fine if it is. You don't need it to be completely cold. You're gonna add this back into the fridge for a little while anyway. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and just glop on my pastry cream, my cheesecake cream. For the ones who did, whose puff pastry just ended up being a huge just ball, I'm sorry I did miss this step. Go ahead, take the back of a spatula, and you're gonna see the outline of where you scored your puff pastry. In that middle there, go ahead and just flatten it out with the back of the spatula so that you can have this barrier here. Any questions? Are my cook-alongs okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and evenly spread that just within that frame that we scored. It's okay till it's a little lumpy, no one's gonna see it anyway. You're gonna get that fruit. So for this step, normally I like to do like a little rustic feel, which I would just put all the berries together in one bowl, toss them up with my hands, and just add it on the cream. But I am gonna show you how to go ahead and line this up. So the inside of your strawberries, or if you have them, just have it like that. The butt side, make sure it's down. So go ahead and just outline that frame. And you want to do this a couple times, because then your blackberries and your blueberries or raspberries, it will be in the middle. So again, I'm just going ahead and I'm outlining that frame. It doesn't have to be perfect. Any questions so far? My cook-alongs, you guys doing all right?
Still doing good.
Oh, great. Okay. Did your puff pastry, did it puff up?
Oh yeah, kind of looks like a calzone.
Okay, did you flat? Hold on.
Yeah, I think it's nearly done and I'll use the spatula, so.
Excellent. Now for the border, I'm just gonna layer that. So I'm just gonna go between the first layer and add my other strawberries. Just like that. And then with whatever empty spaces you have, you can add the blueberry and it'll be like a nice little polka dot effect. It's really cute. But for these, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I like the rustic feel to my fruit tart. Any questions?
Mine turned out to be so much smaller than yours. My whole pastry frame.
Can you show me?
Let's see, it's a little hard. Let me see. Let me put it down.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine though. It's just a lot smaller.
Yeah, I think maybe next time instead of the 1 inch, maybe you go 1.5 inches.
Okay.
An inch and a half.
Maybe I need to roll it out more.
I'm sorry?
Maybe I need to roll it out more.
Roll it out more as well. Completely. What I did was I rolled it so it could fit the pan. So it fit my 13, but then it shrunk a little, so it gave me this size. So I guess just use whatever, make sure whatever pan you're using, that's what you're fitting your puff pastry in.
Right.
Let that be your guide. But it looks great. And you have a nice brown crust. My oven's getting me so upset. So I'm just gonna keep overlapping each layer of the strawberry. Pointy side down, always. Unless you don't want it that way, that's fine too. All right, I'm starting to lose my rectangle here. So I'm gonna go in with my berries now. So for my blackberries and my blueberries, I do just dump it on. I don't layer it. Like I don't go one by one with these, only because number one, it'll take me forever. And then number two, I mean, for me, I like the rustic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna take a nice handful of the blackberries and the blueberries, and I'm just gonna sprinkle them into the middle. If you did want to layer it, go with the blackberries first along the lines of the strawberry, and then the blueberries will be in the middle. So it's always going to be the larger fruit on the outside and the smaller fruit or the berries on the inside. So let's say you're working with kiwi, you would do the kiwi barrier and then strawberry and then blackberry. If you're using raspberry, and then blueberry. I'm just going to pile up my berries right here. I love the look. Yeah, just like that. Any questions? You're good? All right, great. So let me just get a napkin. All right, now we're gonna go in with those apricot preserves. If they got thick on you again, mixy mix. If not, go ahead and add that right back into your microwave for like 10 seconds. No, nothing longer than that. But I think mine is okay now. Mine's gonna go back in for 10 seconds. If you're not a fan of like preserves or, I'm sorry, I have a question, excuse me. Did I have a question?
Just a couple of nice comments in the chat.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Okay. Well, mine went for 12 seconds and she's steaming, so I'm just gonna stir her a little bit until she gets a little cool. Oh, I was going to say, if you don't like fruit preserves, if you're not like a preserve person, You can do a little bit of a thicker simple syrup, and you can you could go ahead and glaze your tart with that as well. A simple syrup is basically equal parts sugar and water that's simmered down. Put a little more sugar than you would water. So I would do 2 cups of sugar to about a cup and a quarter of water, and then I would simmer that down. It's gonna until you get like a nice kind of amber look, and then that's what I'll use to glaze this. Because not everyone likes fruit preserves. Or if you just want like more of a finished, polished look, sometimes the fruit preserves are a little bumpy. You know, you see the lumps. You could use that as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna brush the apricot preserves on my fruit. I'm just gonna, like in kind of this motion here, like a little up and down. Like basically you're just dabbing it on. Because my apricot is thick. So if I just like brushed it, it'll go ahead and take my strawberries along with it and my blueberries. And same thing over here, just dabbing my berries. Like it's already taking a little bit of my berries. And then if you'd like, you could go in the middle, or you could even like shave up a little bit of mint, and you can go in with a little bit of mint to give it like a nice little green. I like basil sometimes too, but this is pretty, oh, actually before that, go ahead and brush your crust with that because you want a nice glazed kind of shiny crust. So you can go ahead and do that as well. My kids are trying to bombard. Trying to go crazy on my door here. Sorry if you hear any noise. Yeah, feeling it. Okay, so again, you can add a little bit of mint, but this is pretty much my finished product. This is my finished summer berry tart. I want to go ahead and cut just a sliver for you guys. I'll get a chef's knife. This should cut nice and clean, especially if you use cream cheese. Well, my chef's knife's not here either, but it's fine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut. Ooh, hear that? Cut right down. And it's gonna look like this. Go up there.
It looks too delicious to eat.
Not for me, because I'm about to eat in 5 seconds.
Let me see.
Take a big bite. Am I allowed to take a bite?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, it's just wonderful. It looks beautiful, and I'm sure it's going to be delicious because every ingredient was delicious.
It's so good. You're gonna love this. Really.
I love the glaze also. Can I show you mine?
Yes, please. I like whipped cream in my mouth. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Really came out great. Oh my, yeah.
That's so pretty. Bravo. Very good.
Well, thank you so much. That was great.
You guys were awesome. I'm so happy. I really hope you like these recipes.
Can I have some?
Enjoy them.
It's beautiful.
Looks great.
I want to have some of this.
Yeah.
Why I loved it.
We had some, she planted mint from school, so we had some fresh mint.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That's
Daughter there.
Can you just have this?
flavor. It's really really-
Awesome.
Hi, sweetie. Good job.
And then this one.
Hi. Good job. You guys did so well.
Thank you.
I tried to grow mint, but it's dying. So.
Oh, well, we just left it there, and one died. The other one grew really nice. So.
Oh, well, lucky you guys, because I had a green thumb. I kill everything.
Yep.
But yeah,
right, let's put it on mute, hit the mute button.
Just like to show you the little last tidbit. So
Looks beautiful too.
Brownie and our summer berry tart. Thank you guys so much for
Thank you
participating.
so much.
Brand, you guys were really great, and my cook-alongs, you did awesome. Thank you again. I had such a wonderful time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All
Thank you.
right, everyone, take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for being here. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.